Imagine a Russia before the grand boulevards, before the European coats and powdered faces. A world of timber fortresses, onion-domed churches, and long winters where survival depended more on faith than ambition. In this world, a man's beard was not decoration. It was identity. Across Muscovy, from the merchant quarters of Moscow to the monastery cloisters of the north, the beard had meaning. It marked a man as adult, responsible before God. It signaled honor, dignity, and standing in the community. And most importantly, it held religious weight. For centuries, the Russian Orthodox Church taught that the beard was part of God's original design. To shave it was to interfere with creation, to deface the image given to mankind. Icons of saints showed wise men with flowing beards. Priests kept theirs long and full. The peasant, the merchant, the noble, all wore the beard as an expression of piety and belonging. There were old sayings: a beard is a man's soul. He who shaves loses his honor. Without a beard, a man is as a woman. Not insults, warnings. Because the beard was not simply hair. It was a boundary between the Russian world and the outside. To the west lay Poland, Sweden, and the German principalities, where men shaved clean. To Russian eyes, this looked unnatural, a sign of vanity and moral decay. The distance between Russia and Europe was not only political, it was visible on the face. This was the world into which Peter Alexeyevich Romanov was born. But Peter did not grow up like other sons of Russia. He did not inherit this world. He would become determined to remake it. He was restless, practical, fascinated by gears, ropes, and tools. In 1697, he left Russia, not in royal splendor, but in disguise. A Tsar traveling as an ordinary soldier among a diplomatic mission known as the Grand Embassy. He crossed into lands Russia had long feared or mistrusted. The Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, the German Principalities, the Dutch Republic, England. And what he saw changed everything. The streets of the West. He walked through taverns and academies. He visited printing houses and anatomical theatres. He met scientists, merchants, philosophers, navigators. But something else caught his eye, something ordinary, daily, and constant. Men in the West wore no beards. Faces were open, smooth, unhidden. To Peter, this looked like clarity and efficiency. To Muscovites, it would look like heresy. If Russia was to stand shoulder to shoulder with Europe, it had to change something deeper, its self-image. And Peter believed a transformation must begin where identity lived, the face. In 1698, Peter returned to Moscow, furious over an uprising that had occurred during his absence. He viewed it as a revolt against everything he intended for Russia. So, in a gesture meant to be both symbolic and unforgettable, Peter seized a pair of shears. He walked straight into a gathering of nobles, the highest-ranking men in Russia, and began cutting off their beards by hand. Men stepped backward, some protested, some froze. But the Tsar did not stop. He moved from man to man, beard to beard, until the floor was scattered with the hair of Russia's elite. Within days, the decree followed. All men of noble or urban rank must shave their beards. Those who refused could keep them, but only by paying a tax. The tax was annual. Proof of payment was a token, a small stamped metal coin. One side bore the imperial eagle, the other read, "The beard is a superfluous burden." A man who carried the token could present it at city gates, market squares, court doors, guard stations. When the token was missing, his beard could be cut immediately. He could be fined. He could face interrogation. It was the first time in Russian history that identity itself was taxed. The scissors had become law. For the Russian Orthodox Church, the beard was not a fashion choice. It was a sacred inheritance, a sign that a man bore the likeness of the apostles and the patriarchs. To remove it was to erase the boundary between the holy and the profane. So when Peter ordered the shaving of beards, the clergy did not see reform, they saw spiritual violation. Priests refused to bless the newly shaved. Confessors asked men if they had shaved as a sin to repent. Icons continued to show holy men with full beards, a quiet, constant defiance. In towns and markets, the change was messy. Merchants complained. Shaving cost time and money. The tax varied by rank. The wealthy paid more and the poor less. Clean faces made men look foreign, stirring suspicion and mockery. But in other circles, among soldiers, young men and city dwellers, something else emerged. Some found shaving easier for work. Some felt sharper in Western coats. Some wanted to look like officers, sailors, scholars. Russia did not break cleanly into tradition and reform. It fractured along age, class, and identity. The beard was no longer a symbol of manhood. It had become a document. Men touched their coats each morning to ensure the token was still there, just as one might check for a passport today. No decree had ever reached so intimately into daily life. No policy had ever reshaped the self so visibly, so personally, so continuously. Peter had succeeded in something far deeper than clothing or customs. He had made the face itself part of the state. By the time Peter the Great died in 1725, Russia did not look the same. St. Petersburg stood as a European-style capital. Straight avenues, grand palaces, naval academies, scientific societies. The men who walked these streets wore trimmed hair, tailored coats, and often clean faces. The beard tax continued under his successors, though its enforcement weakened over time. By the late 18th century, many Russians shaved simply because it had become normal, but the story did not end there. In the 19th century, during a wave of romantic nationalism, the beard came back. Writers, artists, thinkers, and even statesmen reclaimed it as a symbol of Russian character. What Peter changed was not hair itself, but what hair meant. He proved that power can shape identity not only through laws or armies, but through the body, through the everyday, the ordinary, the familiar. The beard had once been faith and ancestry. Then it became tax and documentation. And finally, it became a story. The story of how a nation was reshaped, strand by strand. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe.